Hello, everybody, and welcome to another live stream here. Today, I will be interviewing Anthony Swinnich of Neon Deity about their game Shoot Shimi. Can you hear me, Anthony?
I can indeed.
Good. How are you doing today?
Good, good. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. So, what is Shoot Shimi?
Well, Shoot Shimi is a randomized 10-second per level shoot 'em up, cute 'em up even, that we just kind of got together for a game jam and put together a small build and then just expanded from there.
So, the game is based off of some interesting ideas. We'll get into that in a little bit more when I bring the game up, but what is your specific role at Neon Deity?
I am the, on Shoot Shimi, I am the sound designer.
How many people are there working for you?
There's 3 of us.
Three of you. Okay. So let's bring the game up here. Let's stop the wonderful music, and we'll bring up the game. And there's something that you guys might see as soon as I bring the game up. If I can find the right window. There we go. Okay. Now, if we skip all of this, go to the actual main menu, you will see that there is a muscle-bound fish holding a shotgun. That is normal for Shoot Shimi, because in Shoot Shimi, you play a muscle-bound fish holding a shotgun. And I have to ask, where did this idea come from?
If I'm recalling correctly, it started because we were going to make a space shooter, and Garrett, our coder, made what we refer to lovingly on the team as developer art, which usually looks somewhat nothing like what it's supposed to. The fish is what we ended up coming up with just because the spaceship he drew looked like a fish. I think Wayne Googled a fish to see how to draw one via art. He's our artist for the art. And he found a fish with arms, and it just kind of spiraled out of control from there. We just thought it was hilarious, and that was how the muscle-bound fishy was born.
So you kind of just rolled with it.
You kind of have to during a game jam because you only have a couple of days to make something. So if an idea strikes you as halfway decent, usually just take off running with it.
Yeah, this game was actually in a game jam, though I actually saw a bit that you had, like, early spring on Robot Loves Kitty, the 48-hour live stream where they went through a whole crap ton of indie games on their Twitch channel. And one of the ones they went over was, of course, Shoot Shimi. And you talked about how the game was actually made for a game jam where the theme of that game jam was 10 seconds.
Yeah, it was a Ludum Dare. Gosh, I can't remember the number at this point. Give me a second, I can find that. But yeah, the theme was 10 seconds, so we stuck to that as well as we could, which was, I guess, pretty good considering everything lasts 10 seconds or less. We did pretty well on that game jam. It was our second entry as a team. I gotta say it was a very strange requirement to try and keep going with, but I think we kept it true to the entire fabric of what makes the game up.
Well, you definitely did keep it around 10 seconds, because the game is broken up into 10-second sections, which is very interesting. Now, this version that we're going to be playing here, this is actually a preview version that you just sent me called Seriously Swole. Are there any differences between this version of the game and the previous versions that you had available?
Oh, absolutely. This is the most current version of the game, so we've doubled the count on bosses. We've added a few extra enemies. There's a bunch of new backgrounds. We've enabled parallax scrolling. There's some crazy new amount of musical tracks. More hats, lots of more power-ups. So it's a much more full version of the game. Also, we added co-op, which you won't unfortunately be able to show off right now. Right. But there's 2 to 4 player co-op as well.
I'm assuming that's only local co-op. There's no online abilities with that.
Yeah, as of right now, it's only local. I don't know if we're planning on doing online or not, but right now it's just local.
Now, this game is on Steam Greenlight in the moment, and I heard that it either got through Greenlight or it's very, very close.
We are, as of right now, if we got through, that's news to me, and that would be wonderful. We are, as of right now, at 94% of the way to the top 100, so we're on the precipice.
All right, so give me a second here. I will actually link the Greenlight page, and we'll see if we can get you a couple more votes today.
That would be fantastic.
So the version that would go up on Greenlight is this version that we're going to be showing off today. It's going to be the Seriously Swole version. From what I can guess. Is this version also going to be made available to places other than just Steam?
Well, it's an interesting question. We are actually in talks right now with a medium-sized developer / publisher about getting the game out there to new systems, the newer systems. So we're in talks with somebody about possibly bringing it to PS4, Wii U, obviously the Mac Linux Windows builds, and there's talks about going on 3DS as well. So
3DS. Oh, that would be wonderful to see the muscle-bound fish in his full 3D glory.
I'm having a hard time imagining how Party Time would look in 3D.
That would be both amazing and awful at the exact same time.
I don't know if I could handle it.
I don't know. I don't know what would be worse, 3D or Oculus Rift support. But either way, let's get into the game here a little bit. Now, this is new. There is actually this screen is new. Before, when I was playing this earlier last Wednesday, I had to give away on my own Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/MegaPilotPhD for some a shameless plugging right there. But it looked a little bit different. You've added a bit of more description as to what's going on here with the different difficulties, which is actually really cool to see. I could beat it on Guppy mode, which seemed like to be pretty easy, but anything that wasn't Guppy mode was a little bit harder. Have you done anything to change up the balancing? By a little bit harder, I mean, it seemed to be a little bit too hard in some places, but did you do anything to balance it a little bit better?
Yeah, we've done a lot. Normal mode has been balanced tremendously. We've half the amount of time it takes for you to get an extra life, so you'll be able to get more lives. I think general enemy health has been kind of reduced a little bit. The bosses are a little easier since there's 6 of them now. We wanted to make sure people could hopefully, limp through the rest of the game. We were very cognizant of the fact that people had a hard time getting through what we had already put out. So we've tried to tone it back just a little. We're a little worried that because you got to the Kraken and you're one of the first people we've seen do that, we're a little worried that you're going to get really deep in this build, but if you do, that would be awesome too. So
yeah, if I can try to show up as much as possible, that would be great. If you have any questions that you'd like me to ask Anthony, feel free to post them in chat or send them to his Twitter. Would it be okay for people to tweet them at you, for you to say them on?
Absolutely. Yeah, I can definitely see the Twitter.
Your Twitter is just @ShootShimi, correct? Or ShotShimi. Yep. I'm sorry. I keep saying ShootShimi because that's how it's spelled, but there's an umlaut over the U, and I forget that every time. I also see is that Wayne Doss, who I believe is another developer from Neon Deity, is also in chat. So if you guys have any questions for him, feel free to throw those in chat. Maybe he'll answer them if he's feeling like answering questions today.
Oh yeah, I think he's raring to go.
Okay, so let's start here on Guppy, just so I can get back used to the game before we move on to the harder difficulties. And we'll get into the game. Now, the basic gameplay of ShootShimi, it is just your basic shmup fare. You shoot things, they explode, and you try to dodge a lot of bullets. But it's really just the interesting way that the things look that change up what's going on. Okay, let's see what we have here. More friends, party vision, and that's the shotgun. I started with the shotgun. I actually haven't seen this background. So a lot of things are very, very much randomized in this game. You could almost call this a roguelike. Almost. I feel, because of how the enemies are randomized, the background's randomized, and the shop is randomized. Now, I'm not going to be able to talk about the shop, brand new hat, nice, and play the game at the same time. So if you want to go into a little bit about what goes on at the shop, Anthony, that would be fantastic.
Sure, I can do that. So every 10 seconds, the wave will end and you enter the shop mode. You're given 3 items to pick from, which are brought in from just this giant pool of crazy power-ups that we have. So here's one of the newer ones.
Oh man, right, it's here. Backwards and upside down. Okay, that was new. Okay,
so the power-ups range from anything from a new weapon to a hat that can affect how you play the game to crazy effects like the screen being upside down and your controls being reversed. The caveat to that is everything lasting 10 seconds means that if it's a bad thing, it'll generally last a very short amount of time.
Now, some of these are actually, some of these are new that I don't know where I am because I was invisible. A lot of these are actually very, very new from the build that I played last week or last Wednesday. So it's going to take me a while to get used to how everything was, because I was able to memorize a lot of the stuff and able to figure out where in the description, because descriptions are randomized as well. So it's not just what the item is, but the description's randomized, and even though here on Guppy mode they'll actually show you what the thing is because it's bold. In normal game mode, you don't have that. You have to quickly read through the description and figure out what in the world the power-up actually does. And you have to pick a power-up. You can't just decide, I don't like any of these, I don't want to take any of them. You have to take one. So that can be a little bit
we did fix one thing that people complained pretty drastically about, was the randomness in shot mode. I mean, it's still very random, but everything was random in shot mode previously. Now, every upgrade has an icon at the top tied to it. So, for instance, the shotgun is always the mushroom. And the slam basketball is always a new hat. Okay. So, if you can memorize what item correlates to what item on top, you'll know what you're getting just visually.
Well, that's good to see, because that makes it a little bit easier to figure out. I died in Guppy mode because this game has a lot of new. I was not prepared for new, so I'm going to have to get used to how to play this again. Okay, let's see. So what are all the kind of upgrades that you actually have in the game now?
Well, you know about the 5 weapons.
Right.
So that's always there. There's the screen affecting things like Party Time, Horrible Night to Have a Curse, things that flip your screen upside down. Those haven't. I don't want to tell you what to take, but that's a fun one.
Which one?
The last one.
We'll go with it. We're going to go with it. We're going to try.
Let's see what you think of this.
Is that a What in the world? I can't shoot! What? Wait, I don't take any damage either.
So,
okay.
One of the things we got complaints about a lot was that 10 seconds of heaven was just a waste of time. So we wanted to make it fun, but still give you a free round somehow. And that was kind of what we landed on. It was as crazy an idea as we could make, with it still, falling in the realm of you not taking damage or not getting hurt.
So right now I've actually picked up one of the hats, which is really cool. Got to appreciate any game that's got hats. I play a lot of Team Fortress 2, and I've got a nice affinity for headwear. But the interesting thing about Shushimi is that the hats actually can affect the game. So just right now, I have a pirate eye patch, and what it's doing, as you can probably see, is it's actually covering part of the screen. So that's a very interesting idea. What are some of the hats that are in the game, and what are some of the things that they do?
Well, like you said, the pirate patch covers half the screen. The sunglasses do a similar thing, but those are 2 of the more negative hats. And since I think we're going to have about 40 by the end of it. They're pretty rare to get. Some of the hats make you more powerful, so those are ones you want to target and try to get. Other hats can make your specific weapons stronger. I don't think we have them all in this build yet, but the pirate hat, for instance, makes the cannonball stronger.
I love that. That awkward silence. This made me get awkward. The music just stops halfway through. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. I believe, those of you in chat, I believe Indie Gamer Chick does still have some copies of this game to give away on her Twitter. So if you would like a copy of Shoot Shimmy, send a tweet to Indie Gamer Chick, and she will hook you up through that. But I guess I have to say, you went over kind of the design of the fish, but what were some of the inspirations behind the insanity that is Shoot Shimmy?
Well, it just came to light because we get tagged on Parodius a lot. It came to light that none of us have actually really played it, or maybe have only played a very little bit of it, but we're very inspired by the spirit of it. I think we've all played a fair number of shmups, but maybe not as many as we thought. I don't know. We've never really sat down and thought about it. WarioWare is a huge influence for us, just because the bite-sized chunks of gameplay that you can get really... It's not something that's been explored too much, I don't think. There's been a few games that have done it, but the fast-paced nature of just keeping people entertained by throwing as much crazy stuff at them as possible is something that we wanted to kind of expand on.
I have to ask, though, I'm only getting a glimpse of some of these enemies, but are those underwater bears?
They are indeed.
Okay. All right.
They were always supposed to be bears, but we just kind of knew that internally.
Yeah.
So in the new build now, we have them uncurl and kind of float around a little bit, so you can get a good look at them.
Because when I was playing the build before this one, I thought they were urchins because they were spinning around like that. But yep, they're bears.
That's the most sensical explanation I ever heard for what those might have been before we made them into bears, like officially. Urchins is a good one.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's just absolutely insane. I like a game that's not afraid to have fun. And Shoot Shimmy just has basically as much fun as you guys could possibly cram into the game, and that's good to see. I personally I'd like to see that out of games.
We didn't really want to take it too seriously because I mean it's a fish with giant muscle arms that wears silly hats. It was hard to go down that road of, well, how do we tell a story, or we kind of went full bore with the whole craziness.
That means in 20 years, you're going to have to make a dark and gritty remake, right?
Hopefully by that point, somebody will buy the rights from us for that in some crazy scheme where we're just going to retire on that. Who knows? We'll be like the Evil Dead of video games.
There's a lot of insanity in Shoot Shimmy, but what were some of the stuff that you would actually have to cut? I'd imagine there'll be a lot of things that, even though the game has a lot of stuff... Okay, I'm afraid because this says local split screen. All right, we're playing on 4 screens at once. Okay, I expected that to work that way, but I wasn't quite sure. Yeah, but what was some of the stuff that you actually had to cut from the game?
The one that I'm most regretful that we didn't get to keep as a concept was we had this idea that there would be a fisherman on top of the screen for a round, and he would be trying to catch you with like a fishing hook, like the line he'd be fishing for you, and we weren't really sure how to make it so you would get hooked, or how you would avoid it, or how would you fight him, whether he would be a boss or not, or just like a one-round crazy thing. And it's one of those concepts that, like, I think back on, I go, I really wish we could have figured out how to make that one work.
Have you thought about trying to work on that idea a bit more, or has that idea been given up on at this point?
We're mostly concentrating on porting at the moment, and I think the game is relatively feature complete. So I don't think anything else is going to really get added. Maybe if something crazy happens down the line and we want to add it, maybe. All
right. But we have successfully beaten Guppy mode, which means we got to play this game on normal. And I'm kind of not looking forward to it because I don't know what to expect. There's actually a lot of things in this game. You've got records that show all your personal records, such as your total score, how many waves you've cleared, highest wave cleared, total deaths. Is this reading the file that I had from last Wednesday?
I believe it's reading that exact file.
Oh, interesting. Because I thought it would have reset since this is a different build of the game.
No, this is just all built on the same framework. Also, if you go to online records, you'll see that we've added leaderboards.
Nice. I like how number 9 is butts.
We have a small obsession with butts at this team.
Captain Butts is number 14. Alright. You guys also have a couple other things here in the extras menu, such as a list of all of the hats that you've found so far, a little bit of description about what they are, and, my favorite, the awardments. So, what was some of the...
We have added a lot of awardments, too.
You have added a lot of awardments. Because last Wednesday, I got a lot of them, but some of them were kind of specific. Oh, yeah, there are a lot more. Holy crap.
Some of them might not be achievable for you at the moment. I'm not 100% sure, but...
Maybe. I'm not quite sure reading a couple of these. What were some of the ideas about adding awardments to the game, and just, like, the word awardment in general?
Well, I think we legally can't use achievement, which was unfortunate. But,
seriously?
I'm not sure. We weren't sure exactly what the legalities were on that was, but in the Xbox Live Indies community, developers just moved to putting awardments in their game, like we did, where it's the same idea where you get achievements for completing tasks, and you can make the prompt, but you can't actually officially put the gamer score in. So it's kind of like it's like a backwards way of putting it in yourself, where you say, hey, guys, here's this list of challenges to complete. If you are so inclined, these could be fun.
That's interesting to hear. I didn't think that, like, the word achievement itself could actually have been copyrighted. by somebody. I don't know.
I don't know that I want to say that that's the actual case, but it seems like enough people didn't use the word achievement that we should also stay away from it.
Oppie in chat is saying that the terms achievements and leaderboards are forbid through Xbox Live indie games, which is
okay.
It's interesting. Is everyone
and
he
is the coder, so he might know.
There's also this mode you can unlock, which I have yet to unlock, and I don't know how to unlock it. I kind of want to ask, but I kind of don't want to ask, because I kind of want to figure it out for myself, but then again, I'm kind of lazy.
The way to unlock it is, it's a Dragon Ball Z reference. I'm internally trying to figure out a way how to reference it.
Do I need to get over 9,000 points?
You might have just said it.
Because I see right there, one of the awardments is to score over 9,000 points.
Yeah. That's 100% it.
Alright, so I don't know. That's probably not going to happen today. But let's start a new game.
If you can get to the Kraken on normal on the previous build, I'm guessing you will get to 9,000 points.
We'll see. Now, Guppy mode was about 20 stages and 2 bosses. I would guess that each mode would get a little bit longer. Is that true?
Normal's the baseline we would expect people to play. We kind of left in Heartless as more of a joke than anything. Before we did the stream you mentioned with Robot Loves Kitty, we had Alex from Robot Loves Kitty play it as a test, and she was streaming it. And it was the first time we had anybody play it really outside of our sphere of people. And the game was at that point it was more of a roguelite, so you only had one life, no matter what. We didn't have a live system in it at all. And the game was much harder, believe it or not. And she would play a couple of rounds and die, and play a couple of stages and die, and the game really just beat her down, and it really kind of opened our eyes to how hard it was. But one of the things she said, she was like, I really like the spirit of this game, but it is heartless. So we just kind of wanted to keep Heartless in, but fix the game too. So it's more there for somebody who really wants that challenge. It's probably possible to beat it, but I wouldn't say probable.
I unlocked Boss Rush mode. Well, that was interesting. Oh, jeez. I gotta actually press the button to fire every time. That was not expecting that at all.
So that's one of the new power-ups, which is semi-automatic. It's really good for most of the guns, but you do have to jam.
Yeah. It's like I like a lot about this game, and it is very, very challenging, and a lot of it comes down to, like, a lot of roguelike games. The only thing I can think of is comparing this to a roguelike, because it really, really is. A lot of it comes down to just repetition and memorization to what everything does, which can be both a good thing and both a bad thing.
Yeah, it's definitely contingent on you learning what your best loadout's going to be, which is why it was a good move for us to change the items on the top to correlate with the specific items in the descriptions, because not everybody wants to read, but we wanted to give everybody kind of an equal chance to figure out what does what, because there are times where you get just like a super overpowered loadout and can just smash through just about anything in your way. Like if you end up with the Super Saiyan hair and 3 arms and a fishbowl, you're going to be set.
Right.
For at least 10 rounds or so.
Yeah, but the interesting thing about that is that not a lot of the upgrades... Ooh, absolutely butts. We got to go with absolutely butts. You got a new background for this. That's fantastic.
Oh, we did put a background in.
Oh, you people are insane. But the interesting thing about the power-ups for Shuchimi is the fact that a lot of them only last for 1 round.
We tried to indicate that a little bit. There's a little bubble when you go to the power-ups that says an infinity symbol or 1W. So you can kind of tell if it's going to last 1 round or less, or if it's going to like go on through, be more of a permanent power-up.
I'm going to call that a tie because I killed the submarine. That's a tie. That's a tie.
I think you guys got each other. It was like a double knockout.
Yeah. Oh, submit my name. We will be B. We're going to be B. We're going to be B for today. Now, the online leaderboard thing, is that actually fully functional right now?
Yeah. I'm not exactly 100% sure. Maybe Garrett can say in the chat exactly how it works, but he's got it pointed to some location that's storing all the scores.
Because I was wondering if it would be functional or not, because that definitely be something that you would have to integrate into Steam if it does actually get through Greenlight.
Yep. If we do get it through Greenlight, we're gonna figure out how to integrate that right through. We're planning on doing trading cards.
Yes, trading cards. My favorite.
We're planning on doing all the Steam creature mounts that we can do.
So that makes a lot of sense. Now, there are a lot of tracks in Shoot Shimmy. There is a lot of music in the game. How much music would you say? Oh, man, I picked the upside down backwards one again. How much music's actually in the game?
There's 15 regular level tracks. Every boss has their own unique theme. There's the title music. There's an end credits theme. There's other power-ups that have their own songs, like Party Time, or I think you got the Guile here when you streamed it on Friday.
Yeah.
God, there's got to be close to 30 plus tracks in it.
Are most of the tracks just 10-minute short loops, or I got an awardment, or are they actually longer than that, and they just play cut them down for the 10-minute levels?
All of the tracks are 10 seconds long. The plan is eventually to sit down and do some kind of extended soundtrack that'll like draw some of them out farther. So I'd like to do that, but the current build, they're all about 10 seconds long, except the title theme, the title theme, the credits theme, and the tutorial theme are all longer.
Am I firing 2 bullets at once? I think I'm firing 2 bullets at once, and I don't know what...
You have the eye lasers.
Oh, so, okay. So now
I think they're going to have a different laser eventually, but right now we have the regular laser in.
Because laser is an option, even though I don't see it a lot. Oh crap, during a thunderstorm I can't see what in the world's going on. I don't see the laser beam a lot, but there's a good amount of weapons. You have your basic machine gun, you have the boomstick, which is a shotgun, you have the laser beam, you have the larger machine gun, and you have the entire freaking cannon. So
yeah.
there's a lot of weapons to go around. Do you have any thoughts about adding any more weapons?
Well, we kind of did. If you finish the Kraken, if you can beat him and get to the next set of bosses, like the further set of rounds, the weapons will all mutate to powered up versions of themselves because you get a superhero cape.
Mm-hmm.
Not to spoil it, but you'll have more powerful weapons, which are new versions. So like the shotgun can now clear projectiles out of the way, and the mucus launcher, the larger shotgun, can slow enemies down on contact.
Well, that's cool to hear. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the shotgun because it's very, very much an up-close, personal, almost a melee kind of weapon, and that's not something that you see a lot in shmups. I have seen that before with Ballpoint Universe, where they actually had specifically melee weapons, which was interesting to see. But a lot of shmups, you kind of want to make sure that you have distance between you and the enemy.
The shotgun is a weapon that most people tend to try and avoid, that Garrett swears by, and I think Wayne loves it as well. I tend to stick to the laser myself. I'm a big fan of the laser. However, I think the shotgun is, by and large, the most powerful weapon, pound for pound. What would you say your favorite of our weapons are?
I kind of like just the larger machine gun, personally.
Okay.
Because it's easy to understand, and it does a lot of damage. Secondly, I would say like the entire freaking cannon, because that's also pretty powerful, and it's an entire freaking cannon. What's there not to like about that?
All of the weapons have a unique property about them. So, what's cool about the cannon is it kind of changes your play style because it has that arc, and that throws people off initially. But as they start to play, they start to benefit from that because there's places where that's really useful. The laser is the only weapon that has pierce damage, so if you're in a really crowded area, the laser might be beneficial for you there. If you're the kind of person that likes to be up close and personal, like we discussed before, the cannon or the shotgun is really good for you. And the normal gun's just your normal straight up gun. It's easy to understand, but it's probably the weakest of the options.
It's going to be tough. I just lost like 3 lives in a row to the Sea Dragon.
Play safe.
Oh, no. I want to die. Too pretty to die. Have you not? Have you not seen these muscular arms? You can't. Oh,
You're
man.
like
Of course.
800 points away from an extra guy. You can do this.
I picked the upside down backwards one because that's a smart move. That's a smart move. A lot of the enemies die pretty quickly as well, the normal enemies. Not a lot of them take a lot of damage, and you've added a lot of enemies to this build of the game. Are there any specific enemies that you guys decided to remove, or are there any that you specifically have planned to add in?
I don't think we're adding any more, but we've moved the placement of some. We haven't removed any. The cats that shoot the missiles in the subs, we moved them back farther into the game because once they start coming out, they can be pretty overpowering.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
we'd
They
like
used
you
to
to
come
be-
out at after you beat the submarine boss.
Yeah, I think there's a round where they come out specifically, but we didn't want them to just stomp people into the ground right away. And once they start stacking on top of each other, they can be kind of a problem. So we tweaked that too. It should be much less possible to have like 2 different rows at the same time.
There we go.
We also made it possible for enemies to kind of randomly spawn in the earlier levels before they're supposed to, but there's like a very small percentage chance that can happen, just for variance sake.
We actually have a question here from Chad. Indie Gamer words. How do you speak words? Somebody, one of these days, teach me the words of English. Indie Gamer Chick asks if you guys ever thought about incorporating any kind of multipliers or combos, like a lot of I almost said first-person shooter. A lot of shoot 'em ups do. Oh man, I can't speak today. But yeah, a lot of shoot 'em ups have some kind of combo system when it comes to score. So have you guys thought about adding anything like that?
I don't think that's something we've ever discussed, but it might be something we discuss now. I don't know if that's something we can easily slide in, but if it's something that works, it might be a good idea.
Right.
However, you're quickly encroaching on that 9,000 point mark.
Oh, it's getting there. We just might get there. Because the thing about combos and stuff is usually you see them. Oh, we got the king. We're going to hit 9,000 now because the king actually gives you more points. But the combos are one of the things that really helps keep your scores varied. So it's very, very good when you have something like just a high score table or online high score table. So it's probably something you guys want to look into now that you do actually have an online high score table.
Yeah, I want to say that enemies slightly
this is
scale up
impossible.
in points as you go up through the levels. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm going to find out now.
This is going to be really hard to do with the entire freaking cannon trying to take on that Kraken. I don't know if we can do this. I got 9,000 points, though, but I didn't get
You
an
did.
awardman.
If we don't have an awardman for that, we need to have one. So I'll have to.
Oh!
We'll have to put that one in.
That's literally the 10 seconds just ended as soon as I took a trident to the face. That was
It's
beautiful.
the worst feeling.
That was beautiful. I didn't get hit because the level literally ended right at the exact same time. So that was lucky. It's a little bit lucky.
Well, in a game like this, luck is a component a lot of times. Oh no!
There's
Oh
so
no!
many dudes. We're okay. Let's see here. Let's go with cookies for breakfast. That one's actually pretty good. I'm also noticing that your sharks are wearing sunglasses, which
Yes.
they definitely
Oh,
they're keeping
no.
themselves styling. So that's good to see. That's good to see.
That's a respectable score.
One thing that I am a little bit unhappy right now is I can't use my keyboard to type in a name. I actually have to go through all of this stuff. And your game, it defaults to thinking that you have a controller being used, which I do not at the moment. So hopefully you guys will be able to make it more focused around, like, if you have a keyboard, it'll be focused on working around the keyboard. And if you have a controller, it'll be more focused around using the controller.
You you got the awardment for the thing now.
Oh, I did.
We'll have to change that. So you're doing this without a controller right now?
Yes, I'm using a keyboard.
That's relatively impressive. You're playing on Windows. It does support the Xbox 360 controller.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have one.
I do have one, I just don't have it plugged in at the moment.
That's the preferred way to play, but we should probably figure out how to optimize that as well. You make a very solid point.
Yeah. Because I know there are... Oh, no. Infinite party time. I think I broke it. Is it supposed to do this?
Yes, it's definitely supposed to do that.
Okay. All right. Because what I was thinking was that it would be like party time for an entire run or something, but it's just flat out party time. So I like party time. Party time's a good time. It's definitely a good time. So I made it to the Kraken. About how many bosses are there in normal mode to get through?
There are 6 now.
There are 6. Did there used to be 5?
There used to be just 3. It used to be just to the Kraken.
Oh. So you had to make it better.
And I don't want to necessarily spoil it, but the new bosses are familiar, but not exactly the same thing. I guess that kind of spoils it, but you'll see when you get there.
There's something that I was wondering about normal mode. This doesn't happen in Guppy mode, but does normal mode actually endlessly loop, or once you beat normal mode, is that it? Because a lot of old school shmups, I remember like Raiden 2, if you beat the entire thing, it would just start back on level 1, but it would be harder. So, is it something that does Shoot Shimi do something similar to that, or is it once you get to the final boss and beat the final boss, that's it, your score goes in the bank?
You would consider it kind of like an endless mode after, which we call Victory Lap.
Mm-hmm.
So you finish it, and then there's a credit sequence, and then you have the Victory Lap, which goes as long as you can survive.
Is that one mode, one run that goes entirely, or does it still have like the shops in between of the bosses that show up again?
It'll have the shops, but no bosses.
Okay. Have you thought about having the bosses show up again, or is that something that you specifically decided to not have you fight the same boss twice?
I think we made a conscious decision to stay away from them just because the idea is that the fish is telling the story, and after you finish the bosses, he just kind of starts rambling, and the story is going on just because he's an old fish that doesn't know when to stop.
Oh, I hate that power-up. I hate that so much.
Which one was it? I missed the
semi-automatic.
Ah.
I'm so used to not having to worry about it that when I have it, it throws me off so bad.
It's definitely beneficial if you know it's there, but if you don't, it's going to screw you up every time.
Yeah, and it's doing it. It's definitely doing it. So we talked about a couple things that you guys have wanted to add but weren't able to. What is the one thing that you specifically wanted to make sure that the game had and wasn't in, or has everything that you wanted in the game been able to make it in so far?
There's most of everything that I felt very strongly about made it in. There was a hat idea I had that was a little too out there even for us, I think, where it would visually change your weapons. I wanted it to be a chef hat, and all of the weapons then would become different food items or different food-related items. Like the shotgun would become, like you said, it was like a melee weapon.
Mm-hmm.
It would be like you swinging a spatula, and the giant bullet would become burgers. And I think the laser was hot dogs, and we never really went forward with that one.
So now you do have some hats, such as the top hat and monocle, that will actually change how the enemies will look.
Yes. I don't think we have any other hats that do visual stuff. We did talk about having a hat that would change all the enemies into like medieval style enemies, like goblins or dragons or something along those lines.
Oh.
But that ended up being a lot of art,
Right.
and we just decided it wasn't really. It would have been fun, but it would have been a lot of work for a little bit of payoff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only other one that I really, really would have liked to have seen was the X-ray specs, but then we would have had to have remake all the enemies again as
skeletons or something like that.
skeletons, which wouldn't have been quite so bad for. I mean, it would have been a lot of work if it was just the regular enemies, but the bosses would have probably been hellish.
Right. So I can understand things like that, since they are more aesthetically driven than actually functionally driven.
Yeah, in terms of functional power-ups, I don't think there's very many that we suggested that didn't really make it in. Most of everything we wanted to get in kind of made it. It's beneficial that the game didn't really have a set bar to not cross. Like if it was crazy, it got in.
Mm-hmm.
There was never a point where we're like, that's a little too much. There was a joke we had for a while about adding Kanye West in the game and having him fire fish sticks at you with just his head. And there was an animated picture of it that was out there. I think if Wayne can post it in the chat, it was pretty funny. but we didn't want to get sued by Kanye West, so we didn't put it in.
I think you probably would have been okay when it comes to the version you made for the Ludum Dare, but when you guys actually decided to sell it, yeah, that would be a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, I don't think we wanted Kanye to get mad at us.
Yeah.
He seems like the kind of guy that holds a grudge.
It was, Albie says that it was actually in the game as a joke, so I guess he might have had it in at one point in time. He's talking about the exact same thing. I didn't pick it. Now, the interesting thing about the shop is that if you don't pick an item within 10 seconds, because everything's 10 seconds, it will go with whatever item you were last on. So you really got to be quick to make sure you get what you want. And don't end up with something absolutely horrible. Party Vision that is banned in 190 countries. I think we're not good with that one.
We wanted to instill a sense of panic in the person with the shop, so they would try to read the whole description to figure it out, but they would feel that sense of impending, oh no, what if I get a bad thing? For us, it was easy, because that's just how we think. We were able to kind of scan through and find the keywords, partially because we knew what they were, but eventually, if somebody plays enough, that's a good way for them to figure out how to do that. But not everybody was okay with that, and a lot of people will just, right as the shop opens, just hit the button. Which is a strategy that you can use, but I don't think you get very far if that's how you play.
Right. Have you thought about maybe just having it so that you could set it to just randomly give you a power-up? If that's something specifically out there, or specifically for the challenge, so that you would just randomly get a power from the shop instead of being able to pick one?
Like press a button for random selection?
Something like that, it would happen automatically instead of having to pick something from the shop within 10 seconds. They'll just randomly give you something instead of giving you the option.
So like the round will end, and then it'll just open back up, and you'll have a power-up?
Yeah.
That's not a bad suggestion. It's something to consider. You're full of good ideas, sir.
I'm full of crap is what I'm full of.
No,
But...
these are solid ideas.
But, yeah, I definitely have to say, since the competition for the Ludum Dare was 10 seconds, you guys definitely fit that in spades. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head that could have fit 10 seconds. Of course, I didn't check the other ones, but that could have fit 10 seconds any more than what you got, since literally your entire game is designed around that. Did you guys have any ideas before you decided to go with Shoot Shimi for that Ludum Dare contest?
I think once they revealed what the theme was, the idea was to do a shooter no matter what. I don't quite remember exactly how we landed on everything lasting just 10 seconds. That's a really good question. Maybe Wayne or Garrett can mention in the chat if there were any other ideas.
They just linked the picture of the Kanye West thing. That's amazing.
He's gonna get us. I'm legit scared, actually.
It's not in the game, so you should be fine. Someone tweet that at him. See if you get a response. It's good promotional material for Shushimi.
I'd like to be the fly on the wall, seeing him get that.
So, how long has the game actually been out for sale?
We released it on, I believe, the 8th of May, so it's been out since early May.
How many, where all is it currently available? I think earlier you were saying in the Skype chat, like Humble and other places like that?
Sure, we have a Humble widget on our website. We are available on the Humble store itself, Indie Game Stand, and we also have it available on Xbox Live Indie Games.
And you do currently have the green light trying to get yourself onto Steam. Have you been getting... shmups aren't necessarily something that you see on Steam all often. So, what's been the response you've been getting from the Greenlight page?
The comments are mostly positive. Like, we do occasionally get the awesome, really super negative one that we get a really good laugh at. But mostly people seem to think it's out there enough that they'd like to give it a shot. The one thing that I noticed, and I think is kind of prevalent in the industry right now, is that a lot of people are concerned about price, and because it's pixel art, I think people kind of undervalue that a little, which makes me sad, because it's the kind of game that I personally gravitate toward. The 2D pixel art style is something that's very near and dear to my heart. And when this indie revolution kind of started and brought that back, I was in heaven. Like, I was getting ready to just stop gaming in general. I was very just bored with all the shooters and all the sports games. And, like, don't get me wrong, like, I enjoy those games, but it was getting to be too samey. So once I discovered Xbox Live Indies and some of the stuff on WiiWare, it was like a whole new world had opened up to me. I wish more people felt the same, but I think there's an audience out there for games like this still.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame, but it's like there's a bit of an oversaturation of it a little bit, which is what I guess a lot of people are getting tired of because a lot of indie games kind of have this stigma of being a specific kind, like to be like some sort of pixel art platformer, and that's talking about like trying to be deep but actually isn't. The kind of stigma you get from a lot of a lot of people who think about indie games don't necessarily know what's going on. It's like the PS4 has been trying to get some indie games on its platform recently. I've been pushing it really hard, but I've been seeing a ton of backlash. Like last week, I believe, or last weekend, I talked to Ian Stoker, who's the developer of Scapegoat 2, and I was seeing some backlash on his trailer, his PS4 release trailer. People not really liking indie games at all. I don't necessarily understand that. So I
don't think that's fair for Scapegoat 2, especially since he did stylize the art style more so than he did for Scapegoat 1. Like it's really pretty, actually. Like it's the first one was pixel art, and it was here we go, the Kraken.
I'm not gonna make it. I have one life. I'm dead.
Oh, oh gosh.
I was insta dead. He swatted me off like a fly, like a fish flavored fly. Amazing.
I don't think it's fair for people to attack him for that because there's a lot of work went into those visuals. If you look at how that game is structured visually, it's very pretty. And I'm not saying Scapegoat 1 would deserve attacking more, but it would be more along the lines of what people would be, allegedly sick of. It also came out a couple of years ago, but the game is really well designed. I think people should give things a chance more than they do.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
You never know what you're gonna like.
It's a little bit strange when you just think about how people are going to react to things. But thinking of price, anyway, what is the current price of Shoot Shimi?
Right now, the game is $1.
$1.
So $1.
$1 across the board?
$1, Bob, all the way.
Like
it's not going to stay $1, but we are very much planning on giving people who buy it the upgrade without charging them for it. So if you buy the game for $1, you will get the upgrade, and we are planning on giving Steam keys as well.
When it does release on Steam, I guess, and you're saying you were talking about that it won't stay at $1. Is when it releases on Steam, you'll up the price by a little bit. Do you have any idea of what the price will actually be once it actually does release on that? If you're able to get there,
I don't want to be quoted on saying what the price would be, but I think it would be somewhere in between, probably $4 to $7, right in that range.
Yeah, that's a very good price for it to be at. $1, I'd have to say, for this kind of a game is pretty much a steal, since you can tell that a lot of work went into it, and is still actually being put into it. Even though the game was fully released, you guys are actually still doing a lot of work to develop it.
And I think that's what we learned most about releasing at $1 is we really shortchanged ourselves in terms of mind share. People saw the price of $1, and they immediately questioned the quality, and it didn't pair up well with the general perception of pixel art games.
Right.
So I think a lot of people saw it and just dismissed it as another, like, Me Too, goofy, no-depth game, when there's a little more to it than would immediately appear. Hey, you got hang time. I can't do that to save my life.
I don't even know what I did. I don't even know what I did.
It's an achievement where you have to bounce 6 or less times off the ground.
Oh.
I cannot do that to save my life.
I didn't even know that was an award meant to get. So.
Well, I am very proud to see that it's possible. Now I have something to strive for.
All right. I do love the bouncy castle. The bouncy castle, that is true, Broken Bone. The bouncy castle is pure genius. It is just flat out genius. There's not a lot of things you could say are genius, but the bouncy castle, it's one of them. It's definitely one of them. What is your favorite actual upgrade, would you say?
in terms of sheer power, there's a couple of hats that are very good. Um, I really like the ability to slow down the shots. I know a lot of people are scared off by that, and it's bad with one of the weapons, but almost every weapon benefits from the slow-moving bullets. The three arms is one of my favorites.
The three arms is beautiful, I have to say.
Yeah. The fishbowl is one of those things where it made way too much sense to not do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to pat ourselves on the back for being clever there, but I feel very good about the fishbowl. It would have been a very missed opportunity. Somebody would have come to us after and been like, "Why isn't he in a fishbowl ever?" And then we would have felt really dumb. And party time is one of those things where like I don't remember exactly how we came across it. I think we were just spitting ideas out there. I believe it's in the actual original build for the game jam, and we just. I don't know. It was. I think Garrett made an error where it started to like double things on the screen. It made that like trail that party time leaves, and we just kind of went from there and made it as crazy as possible. I would like to apologize to Miss Indie Gamer Chick for that.
Yeah, that's why
we're working on this.
I'm specifically trying to avoid it, even though personally I like party time.
Yeah.
And there's actually
do you have the switch on for the epilepsy effects, or
I didn't know there was one.
Yeah, we put one in. I only wondered because when you had Horrible Night to Have a Curse, I didn't see the lightning. But it might have just been because I'm watching this screen via Skype. The
next time I die, I can check it out.
Okay.
I honestly don't remember. I've been avoiding A Horrible Night for the Curse as much as I can because I don't like that one at all.
The bad news for that is there is a hat that does it, so if it happens, hopefully she'll have enough time to not.
There's the beer hat that does 100% party time all the time.
Yep. We also have a hat that makes Horrible Night to Have a Curse all the time now too.
Oh.
So, I wouldn't want to steer you away from hats, but I don't know if that's actually in the game yet.
Oh, you can't steer me away from the hats. That's not going to happen. Died.
Oh, jeez.
Your game's hard, man. Why you gotta make your game so hard? Alright.
You made it to the Kraken 2 times.
We did. We didn't make it any farther than that.
Yeah, it looks like you have the VFX set to mild already, so that's good.
Okay. So I didn't actually change that. That was the default option.
Interesting.
Did
you change it?
Let's try Heartless mode here.
Oh boy.
I don't know how to feel about this. Last Wednesday, a couple times I tried Heartless mode. I died like instantly.
Yeah,
this is actually harder too. Now the Heartless mode from before, I don't believe was actually harder. You just had to do everything on one life.
I'm a little surprised that it was quite so difficult right there. I amped the challenge up. I think you just got unlucky with the random spawn of a late game enemy.
Maybe.
Because that looked a little more manageable.
Yeah, that was a lot more manageable.
He was out for blood. He wanted you.
Oh, dude. I'm a fish. He's a backwards merman. You know, I don't blame him. Most people, when they think of a mermaid, they don't think of it the upper half being the fish part.
No, I'd probably be pretty upset about that myself.
Okay, I don't know how well we're going to do here. I'm thinking that we'll try Heartless mode and then possibly the boss rush, and then that might be it for today, depending upon how far those go. If anybody in the chat does have any comments or any questions that they would like to ask Anthony while he's here in chat, feel free to post them, and I'll try to read them. Have you gotten any questions from Twitter, Anthony?
No, I haven't gotten any yet.
Oh, I was hoping you would, so we would have something to converse about. I was kind of hoping on that.
See here, let me see if anybody sent any to my actual, my personal account.
I'm a little bit out of questions here. Shoot Jimmy, while it's a great game, there's stuff to talk about. There's not a whole lot to talk about, which is kind of good because it makes sure that the game it's definitely one of those easy to pick up, hard to master games. It's easy to understand. It's very easy to play, but there are still a lot of things that you will have to learn and understand before you can really grasp what in the world is going on in front of your face.
So one of the things we did to kind of try and ease the transition through the game is we've altered how boss rush mode works. So as you saw before, when you got to the bosses, it said unlocked in boss rush mode.
Mm-hmm.
It'll unlock the bosses as you get to them, so you can practice them in boss rush mode.
So if you don't actually get to them, like, I got to the Kraken, but I didn't see anything saying that unlocked in boss rush mode as of yet, so that means the Kraken wouldn't actually be available in boss
No,
rush?
the Kraken should be there. You're right. I didn't see the prompt for that either on him. I did see it on the other two bosses, though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see if that's something we need to fix, but it's supposed to give you all of the bosses as you unlock them, like as you get to them, not just beat them. Because we wanted you to be able to, because it's a deep game when you're trying to go all the way through.
Oh no!
Uh-oh.
I think I broke it!
Ah!
I broke it! Okay. Let's, No, I can't pause either. That is a darn shame. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this is the preview of the build that isn't available yet. So, think of this as early access.
Yeah, that's one we'll work on fixing that.
Yeah.
That's one of the bugs we found in co-op. We have specific power-ups in co-op that are only there for when you're playing with multiple people. There's ones that push the fish away from each other. There's ones that tether them together, and they can only go so far away from each other. But one of the ones is the fish are drawn to each other. And the code originally allowed you to kind of morph into each other.
Mm-hmm.
And if you die in co-op mode, you become a ghost and can still float around the screen and kind of screw around with the player.
Right.
But if the ghost and the player merge together, it would, like, the player would disappear, and then the game would just break. So that was one of the original bugs we found. I'm wondering if that's somehow related, but it looked like you did get shoved into that corner pretty good.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. But the game's easy enough to get back into, so... That's not hard in this mode, too. So I guess we'll go to boss rush mode. We'll check that out a little bit. I do like how the game does have a little bit of a story into it. And the guy's like, I don't remember the specifics, but it went something a little bit like all of this insanity.
We were ripping off very directly. We were ripping off the Prince of Persia idea of the Sands of Time, where he's kind of telling you the story, and if you die, he's like, oh, no, that's not right. It's one of those things that I don't think enough games have really explored yet, so we kind of wanted to just ape it.
I've seen a couple games do that. There's one in particular that's pointing out in my mind, but I can't remember exactly what it was, which was a darn shame. But it's definitely cool to see. It's an interesting idea to actually have people react to what's going on. Where in a lot of games, if you end up like that dying, if you end up dying, they kind of just revert back to a checkpoint and ignore that ever happened. Or you have games like BioShock, where dying is just part of the game, and somehow nobody else comes back to life besides you, which is very strange. But I digress.
I was one of the few people that I think played BioShock in a way that I reloaded my save every time I died. I didn't like the Vita Chambers. I think they were called Vita Chambers.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it did kind of tie into the story, but I wasn't super pleased with the ability to just keep going no matter what. And I think if I remember, didn't you? Well, I don't know. I always like to perfect the encounters, so I didn't want to waste a bunch of ammo on a guy and then die and then be like, oh, I wasted all those bullets for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
It was the kind of game that I liked that when I reloaded my save, I had a better idea of what was going on.
Right.
BioShock was a really interestingly designed game in a lot of ways, though.
Borderlands was kind of like that, too, where if you died, you just came back to life and nobody seemed to care. So...
yeah.
This game's definitely not like that at all. If you die, you gotta start all over again, for better or for worse. So, I think, unless you have something specific you want to talk about, we've been going about an hour or so here. Unless you have something specific you want to say, I think we're pretty much, we're pretty good. We'll start wrapping things up.
I want to thank everybody on behalf of the team for all the support, especially you and Indie Gamer Chick. Anybody out there who's bought it or played it or tweeted about it, voted on the green light, anything like that, we really, really appreciate it. And stay tuned because we have some really big things in plan for this. It's coming down the pipeline. If everything goes according to the way it's supposed to, we're going to have some awesome stuff coming. So just thank you from the bottom of our hearts. It means a lot.
Yeah, no problem. Memories Neighborhood actually kind of brings this up out without actually bringing this up. But the idea of not only being able to pick different hats, but possibly being able to play as different characters.
You kind of can in multiplayer mode because you can change the color of the fish and they have slightly different visual tweaks. But I don't think we're going to put other characters in. We kind of did that in Spirit through the hats.
Right.
But other than that, it's something that I think at this point might be outside of our scope. But we'll probably discuss it since you brought it up because it's not a terrible suggestion.
All right. Well, thank you again, Anthony, for talking to me today. Thank you, everybody in chat, for coming out to the stream today. I really do appreciate seeing that the chat was actually pretty full today, which is always nice to see. If you're interested in getting a copy of Shoot Shimi, you can talk to Indie Gamer Chick on Twitter. That is at Indie Gamer Chick. She has a bunch of copies of the game that she'll be giving away. First come, first serve. It's not a contest. Just if you would like a copy, talk to her, ask her for one. If she's got them left, she'll send it to you. As long as you make sure that if you like the game, you put out there that you like the game and kind of, spread the word of mouth just a little bit to help get this game out there. This game is currently on Steam Greenlight. I will post that link once again in the chat. So if you like this game and you would like to see it on Steam and help get it out there a little bit more, feel free to send it a good yes vote. I gave it a yes vote, so if you guys are interested in that, you can give that a good vote right there and help Neon Deity break into the Steam market. I don't have anything else really to specifically go over here. I want to thank you one last time, Anthony, for showing off this game as well as letting me play the updated version of this game. When is this update actually going to be released? Do you have a date for that yet?
Not 100%. We're working on the ports now. Hopefully, if that all goes smoothly, we'll have it. We should have a better indication of that in the coming month or so. But we are, like I said before, we're in talks with a medium-sized publisher about bringing it to the next-gen consoles. PS4 and Wii U specifically, Vita, 3DS, and the three PC platforms.
All right, sounds good. I wish you guys the best, and hope things go well for Neon Deity when it comes to getting onto Steam.
Thank you so much.
Thank you once again, everybody, for being here. I am Omega Pie Man, and I will talk to you guys later.